Quick thoughts. We're gonna fuck them and leave. Alright, welcome to Quick Thoughts Week 2. I am, of course, Sean of Super Jam Session, and we're gonna break down every game as quickly as we can. We only got so much time, and we're gonna run through and rhyme until we find who's gonna be the winner coming into Week 3. Start with the Vikings and the Eagles. Vikings 28, Eagles 34. Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns, running, throws for a score, and the Vikings fumble a lot. The Eagles, they're 2-0, no surprise there. Had a little trouble against New England. It's definitely a tight contest with the Vikings, and they've got a gritty Buccaneers team that they're going to face on Monday Night Football. But this Eagles team proving to be exactly what we know them to be and have been for the last couple of years. So good on them. As for the Vikings, 0-2, it's not time to panic yet, Vikings fans, but you have to admit that Kirk Cousins is doing his best to beat Kirk Cousins. 4 touchdowns, 364 yards, and yet somehow ends up with an L no matter what, even though in garbage time they caught up to him. The Vikings fall to the Eagles on Thursday Night Football. No need to panic yet, Vikings fans. There is plenty of time to expand. Falcons-Packers, 25-24. Falcons win it right at the end, and a winning field goal from Koo as the Falcons get past the Packers, 25-24. The Falcons, they're going to turn a lot of heads. They're turning my head as I wrote them off, as you heard at the beginning of the season. Now, 2-0 could lead to a lot of different places. But you can't deny that this team that everybody said wasn't going to be that great is all of a sudden getting his reps in, as Ritter, the quarterback, seems to be doing a decent job. Only 1 interception, 1 touchdown, but the rest of the team filling in underneath. This team might be surprisingly scary come down the stretch. As for the Packers, it will be interesting to see what happens. Whether just Jordan Love can handle being called Justin when he is just insurmountably short of a victory. Will he be able to bounce back in a meaningful way like his predecessors? But next up, Bills-Raiders. Bills 38, Raiders 10. The Bills, what a bounce back game. You needed this bounce back game. Josh Allen doing what Josh Allen does best. 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was just a great day, field day for the Bills. Defense stepped up their game, looked a lot better than they did against the Jets. And as for the Raiders, it's really tough to be the team that's bounced back on. But that's what happened with the Raiders. Jimmy G, hard to say what's going to happen with this team. When they get going, they can get going. But Josh McDaniels, to me, I'm still not sold on him as a coach. And no matter how good this Raiders team might be, they might be limited by the fact that they have subpar calling on the sidelines. But that is more to be developed later on. Ravens-Bengals. Ravens at Cincinnati win 27-24. I'm not sold on this Ravens team yet. I don't think that right now Lamar Jackson and OBJ and Mark Andrews and all of those great weapons that John Harbaugh has, I'm not necessarily convinced quite yet that this team is really capable of going down the stretch in a meaningful way, especially because usually it's week 6 or 7 when both Lamar Jackson and OBJ get injured. So it's a good start. It's a meaningful start, and it's a start against 2 teams that they really, well, I guess Houston, it's really not that majorly impressive, but against the Bengals, who everybody thought was going to be a major threat this year, and so far 0-2. So on that line, Joe Burrow is out. You kind of could tell he was injured during week 1, if you're going to be honest, in that game against the Browns. 2 division losses in 2 weeks hurts, no matter which way you spin it. I personally think that this Bengals team is average at best, and they just lost the guy that just got a lot of money. So it's going to be something very interesting to see whether the Bengals can bounce back from this, especially with their quarterback in question and their wide receiving core not as strong as it used to be, and seemingly that offensive line not quite as good as people were hoping it would end up being come hell or high water, especially with the way that the Super Bowl went and last year went when it comes playoff time. What does it mean for both teams? Too early to tell. Seahawks-Lions. Seahawks pull out an overtime shocker against the Lions to go 1-1, 37-31. It's a gritty game, but it's a game Geno Smith needed to win so that everybody could not put up the narrative that last year was an absolute fluke. Geno needed to light it up, and I mean 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that's just throwing the ball. They had a great day, all around great day. 10 points in the third quarter, 14 in the fourth quarter to come back. And the Lions are a gritty team and they're a tough team. So the fact that the Lions, they're 1-1, they shouldn't feel bad about this. They beat the Chiefs, they fall to the Seahawks, but those are two very good teams, two playoff teams in my estimation, that the Lions are contending against. So 1-1 ain't bad. A lot of interesting things to see coming out of Detroit's camp in the coming weeks. Chargers-Titans, another overtime thriller. 27-24, the Titans pull it off. Ryan Tannehill didn't have the greatest day, but Derrick Henry pulls in for a touchdown. Keenan Allen still doing his thing. 111 yards, 2 touchdowns for the the Chargers. And this Chargers team, coin flip Staley, just cannot win these games, at least for the first 2, and this is not a good sign for the Chargers. This is the team I might be worried about the most heading into week 3, because these are 2 games that the Chargers should have won, probably needed to win, and didn't. And when it comes to how intense the AFC is now, you really can't afford to be losing those kinds of games. As for the Titans, that was a must-win for the Titans. Otherwise, a lot of people probably would have written them off, given what Jacksonville has been able to do. We'll get to them in a second. But Jacksonville is going to be tough competition. Titans should be right up there with them. This is the kind of win that separates the men from the boys in that respect, and we'll see if the wheat can cut themselves from the chaff going forward. Bears-Bucks, 17-27. Buccaneers are 2-0. Baker Mayfield throwing some passes like Mahomes would, having a great time balling, having fun. This team has got grit. This team has got determination, and yeah, it's just the Bears, but this team was also supposed to be just the Bucks. But 317 yards and 1 touchdown is pretty solid. Mike Evans with a great catch, Rashad White with a rushing touchdown. All the Bucks players had a day. The Bears still got a lot of things to figure out. And even though this may be a game that you think would have been closer than it was, Tampa Bay's defense is better than everybody thought. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle Monday Night Football against the Eagles. Chiefs-Jaguars, 17-9. A very intense defensive contest. Very gritty. Jaguars had themselves a very difficult day getting anything going offensively, but I don't think either of these teams should be upset with their performance. It just goes to show why these two teams make it as far as they do, as far as the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl several times, winning it last year. This is the kind of reason that they do that, and this is the kind of purpose that they do for that. So I'm interested to see just where they go going forward in that respect. And the Jaguars, I don't think they should feel too bad about this, because the Jaguars have a good defense. They kept the Chiefs to 17, which is impressive in and of itself. But these are the kind of days where Trevor Lawrence really needs to define himself. So I wouldn't feel too bad about this. You just keep going the way that you're going, and that's the way that you got to go. Colts-Texans, 31-20. I'm not expecting any outcome other than this. Sucks that you lost your quarterback, in the Colts case, to a concussion, but that doesn't mean that the Colts season is lost. Gardner Minshew, I think, is coming in now. He could definitely hold over while Richardson recovers. The Texans, I don't think, are expecting the win and aren't winning, and probably won't win for the foreseeable future, but they got to know what they have. This game was a game, and CJ Stroud still threw for 384 yards and 2 touchdowns, so you can't be mad with that. Niners-Rams, despite the effort of the Niners, 30-23, the Niners are now 2-0. And despite the efforts of the Niners to give that game back to the Rams in the final 6 minutes, they hold on. Even though Matthew Stafford, it was a kind of an awkward day for him. 307 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. McCaffrey runs in a touchdown, but this is a very interesting team. The Rams are decent. The Rams are decent, but they're going to have to win games like this if they want to move forward. It was an impressive win against the Seahawks, so splitting division games, it's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There's a lot of game left to play. We'll see what happens. Giants-Cardinals.
Birds.
The Giants somehow score 31 points in the second half to win this game.
You missed me!
After the Cardinals start off hot and peter out, but what an effort by this Giants defense. They woke up. Daniel Jones proving that he might just be worth that contract that he had. 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, but that pick was not his fault. Credit to James Conner of Arizona, the running back, 23 carries, 106 yards, and 1 touchdown. And this is a team that is allegedly tanking. They're 0-2, but nobody's told the team. And so long as they keep playing like that, this team's going to be at least somewhat interesting to watch. They're going to keep games close, but the Giants could have lost the season on this game, and they saved it, but just barely. Jets and Cowboys. Boy, this was supposed to be the game where the Jets demonstrated that their defense is elite, and it was more like the elite. Young and bucked, because the Cowboys had their way with the Jets basically from the opening drive. 30-10 is how this ended. This Cowboys team is scary. Dan Quinn is a genius. He is going to get a head coaching job, I bet you, come next year because of how good a defensive coordinator he is. I've always liked Dan Quinn. He's a perfect fit for this Cowboys defense. Shut the Jets down. 2 touchdowns for Dak Prescott, not an interception in sight. Even Tony Pollard had 72 yards. CeeDee Lamb at 143. It was a great day for Dallas, but let's see how they do once they leave the facing teams from New York, whether they'll fare in the same kind of schedule. Commanders Broncos. Commanders hold on to a fast one. Even though the Broncos came up and tied it, or almost tied it, a failed 2-point conversion, just didn't quite do it. Russell Wilson looking not bad. 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not bad for them at all. But this Sam Howell, he's starting to make moves too. This team is a lot more complete than I think people expected from the Commanders. So they're playing great ball. We'll see what happens with them. But 2-0, not a bad place to start in a very competitive division. Broncos 0-2. It's the AFC West, so safe for the Chiefs. You never know what can happen in the West. So not all hope is lost in Sean Payton's neck of the woods. Dolphins Patriots 24-17, tough game, but Tua Tagovailoa is proving that he is worth a pretty penny. As Rashad Mostert, the running back, had 2 touchdowns, great day for him. They really just opened up and took care of Patriots in Gillette. I wouldn't be worried if I'm the Patriots too badly. How many times has this team gone 2-2 and then won the Super Bowl? Like 4? And I know that was Tom Brady and it was a different situation, but this is something where Bill Belichick seems to kind of figure these things out. It's a young team. They scored, and they got it to within a touchdown's worth by the end of the game. It's just that this Dolphins team might just be better than we all expected. So if this Dolphins team can stay healthy, look out, because they might be a dark horse to make some waves in the playoff time. If they keep playing like this, they're going to be a threat. Saints-Panthers 20-17, a close game, but a necessary win for the Saints, who are trying to have this expectation and are trying to keep this expectation that they are somehow the de facto winners of the South, but they are not really playing like it. They're getting slow but sure. Derek Carr, 28 yards and an interception. Not necessarily exactly what they were hoping for. Taysom Hill proves to be a great switch hitter between quarterback and running back with 9 carries and 75 yards. This is an interesting team to watch, but they're 2-0 and they're getting wins, and that's all you can ask for with them. And the Panthers are kind of similar to the Texans as far as they're going to go where they need to go, and they're not going to win much because they have to see what they have with a new coach and a new quarterback. It's all unforeseen territory for the Panthers, but every game is a game where you learn, and that's all you can ask for in this game in the National Football League. So Panthers fall to 0-2, but it's not like they're expecting to be the powerhouse team in the league. They're seeing what they have, and so far it's not looking too bad. Browns Steelers, tough game to lose Nick Chubb, especially because they're saying he might be gone for forever. But Deshaun Watson had a decent game, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Kenny Pickett played about as well as he could, but this game belongs to the defense. And it belongs to TJ Watt, who is an absolutely dynamic defensive player. Maybe the best defensive player in the league right now, whose name isn't Aaron Donald or Micah Parsons. And he is truly an all-around player. There was one drive in the middle of the second quarter where he literally was the 3-and-out. He got the tackle, he tipped the ball, and he got a sack. And you heard TJ Watt, and then again, TJ Watt, and then again, TJ Watt, and the Browns have to punt. This kid is good, this defense is good, and the Steelers season is back on track after getting trounced by a tough San Fran team. This is going to be an interesting division. 2-0, go the Ravens. 1-1 Browns, 1-1 Steelers, 0-2 Bengals, but there is a lot of football left to be played. Those are the quick thoughts. Let's fuck them, let's get out of here, and let's make sure that you leave them a good tip.